Good morning and welcome to our Rugby World Cup update brought to you from London aboard our ABSA Red Bus. ABSA, a member of Barclays. Today is D-Day for the Springboks and the All Blacks. It doesn't get bigger than this. It's for a place in the final of the Rugby World Cup 2015. Both have 2 World Championship titles to their name, and the legendary rivalry continues. The All Blacks are favoured in this matchup, but in an effort to recreate the spirit of 1995, where South Africa were not favoured against what many considered the greatest New Zealand team of all time, the 1995 team are here in London and they're trying to inspire this generation of Springboks. Actually, even this morning, they've invited Londoners here in England to actually come and take part in a 2-mile run, because that's something that they did ahead of that 1995 final against the All Blacks. They went for a run in Sandton, so they're trying to go for a run this morning to also just help to recreate that spirit. Now, our Springbok team correspondent Simon Burke was at the captain's run yesterday, and let's hear what Captain Fourie du Preez had to say ahead of today's match.
Twickenham is primed and ready to go, and so are the Springboks, with Lood de Jager looking very comfortable at the captain's training ahead of the match. It is so much history between these two teams. It's their 91st meeting at Twickenham, the home of England rugby, and the players can't wait to get going.
Yeah, well, I think the rivalry is unique. Obviously, growing up in South Africa, my old man played against the Cavaliers, I think in '86 or whatever it was. So, obviously grew up with watching South Africa playing the All Blacks. But again, this is a massive game for us, the current crop of generation. But we're such a small part in the history between the two nations. So I think what's quite remarkable is that we all respect each other. We're all friends. We play against each other so much. So we can't wait for tomorrow to start.
It will be one of our biggest games, if not our biggest games in our lives. I can't really comment about sort of a history or whatever, where it would be the biggest. But I think that's where you play the game, is to play with All Blacks, the #1 ranked team the last 5 years, to play them in a World Cup semi-final and final. Obviously, in our route, it's going to be in the semi-final, so massive game. And myself and Skalk were in Japan together since from end of November, and we were talking about this game after training quite a few times. So we've been looking forward to it for quite some while.
So it's South Africa versus New Zealand in the semi-finals of the 2015 Rugby World Cup. It really doesn't get much bigger than this in world rugby. I'm Simon Burke, bringing you the latest from the Springbok camp.
South Africa's Lood de Jager has been cleared to play for the Springboks today, while other news from the tournament includes comment from the All Blacks captain. South Africa are Richie McCaw's toughest rivals in terms of physicality, and the New Zealand captain cannot wait to get stuck into them yet again in today's World Cup semi-final. McCaw will face the Springboks for the 26th time, and he said that there is a massive intensity between the teams, and matches against the Springboks are some of the toughest you ever play. It'll probably be another brutal game, he said, but they are the games that I love. Picking up the odd scar is part and parcel of it, and if we do the job, I'll take any extra scar that comes along, he said. In other news, the return of Marcelo Bosch at outside centre for Argentina's Rugby World Cup semi-final against Australia was the only change in the team that the Pumas named. Matias Moroni, who scored Argentina's first try in the 43-20 quarter-final win over Ireland, steps down and out of the match squad to make way for Bosch. Bosch was handed a 1-week suspension for a dangerous tackle in Argentina's last pool game against Namibia.
An ancient culture came to these shores a lifetime ago, fusing, merging, growing to transcend lines, cultures and sound, embodied in a voice that speaks to you without forgetting. do you listen to it? Lotus FM. Share the experience.
Welcome to Network, a technology news program that also discusses what's trending in social media in and around Africa. MTN has launched its new movie and television streaming service, Front Row. If it's trending, we will find it. That's Network with me, Spumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Off of the ABSA Red bus to experience one of the world-famous London attractions, Madame Tussauds. Mac, pose for the selfie. So even though Madame Tussauds has been here for hundreds of years, this wax attraction is keeping up with the times. You can see they've even got Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Yeah. And this is one of their newer sculptures. And really, I can imagine just how popular it really is. But I can't wait to get to the sports section. I want to pose alongside Usain Bolt.
Just before we go to the sports section, guess who I met? My hero, Morgan Freeman. Did you see him?
I did see him. What did he say?
Oh, well, he said to me, "Hi, Mac." That's what he said. Then I said, "Hi, how are you?" Yeah.
Just like that.
So Madame Tussauds first started learning how to create wax figures under the tutelage of someone called Dr. Curtis, and they were based in France at the time. And Madame Tussauds' story gets embroiled in the French Revolution, where she actually takes the side of the revolutionaries and starts making death masks of the people that have perished in the French Revolution, which is not a most glamorous job, but the revolutionaries wanted proof that the royalty of the day had actually perished and died in the French Revolution. So, as it wasn't a most glamorous job, she left France, left behind her husband and her family to move to England to start a touring exhibition of wax figures, where she did that for about 30 years.
I'll be back.
They're all exact as we can get them. If we have a sitting with someone, that's where we go and meet them and take all their measurements, lots of reference photographs as well. But even if we don't meet someone, for instance, Lionel Messi, unfortunately he was a bit busy to have a sitting with us, but we could take the measurements from a Cristiano Ronaldo and compare where Cristiano Ronaldo measured up to Lionel Messi when they played each other in a game of football. So yes, all the kind of detail that you will see is as accurate as possible to make each figure really lifelike.
Arch, I've heard you've been very sick. I want to give you a hug. Well, for the last couple of days, the members of the 1995 Rugby World Cup winning team have actually been making their way to the English capital of London, and we've had the opportunity to get out and see a little bit of London with some of them. Now, Mac Messina, he did a good catch-up.
We're here at the posh historic Hotel Savoy with the Springbok team that won it in 1995, and it's a big day for them indeed, because it's their reunion 20 years down the line. They're here just celebrating that, and on top of that, they're here to support the current Springbok team.
We just had a feel of the cup. Again, all the guys were allowed to touch the cup, so we're very proud, and all the guys, to see all the guys. It's every time a memorable occasion.
I think we having the 1995 legends here tonight, celebrating with a dinner in their honor, in a sense, is the type of impetus intervention that we need for Saturday. It's really remarkable to see this gathering. I think of the great Mr. Mandela when I see these young, well, not so young anymore, soldiers. But it's, in many respects, almost like deja vu.
When we met on the 24th, the camaraderie and the feeling was so strong that let's do it. That, you know, it just had to be done. And today was also very special. At lunch, we were in a little Italian restaurant, and 3 of the current box actually heard, and it was Yanni du Plessis, and his brother and Peter Steff de Toy, they heard that we were in and they came into the restaurant. They actually came in and they greeted everybody, and our guys were really excited, you know. And I said to Yanni and Bismarck, I said, you know, you've really made our day. And he said, no. These guys were our heroes. Yeah. You've made our day, you know. So it was fantastic. We're here to celebrate a special moment in our country's history. We're not here to celebrate or glorify a rugby victory, because we know anybody could have actually won.
What is so funny is that people still look up and people stop and they go crazy, and we come here into London and people feel the same. We've actually been treated like royalty. Yeah. And for us, this is very special, this group of guys. Close. And we're having an amazing time together. I mean, we've got these amazing blazers that was being made for us and everything. And we stayed in the best hotel and we drink the best wine you can think of. And it's 20 years ago, my friend. Yeah. It's 20 years ago.
I think to have been part of it, the whole 95, the new South Africa, the release of Nelson Mandela, I think it's really a hell of an honour to have been part of it. And me personally, it's some of the memories that nobody can take away. And only to have been part of the 95 squad, you know, that's something that is really special. And I don't think we always realise how privileged we were to have been part of it.
For the men that have been there before, namely the Boks of 1995, they too can't wait to see what the Generation 15 can do against the All Blacks.
The funny thing is now, when you go in a semi-final and you lose in a semi-final, you at least when you go to a final, you know you're either number 1 or 2. Yeah. When you lose a semi-final, it's very awkward, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I believe that the Springboks is going to do very well on Saturday. Titanic game.
I think the one nice thing when you play against the All Blacks, you want to hurt them. There's just something about it that you want to hurt them. And I think if our pack does the same thing, we want to make them sweat for every single inch they get. They've got to bleed to get territory. And I think we have the pack, we have the mindset to be able to make them do that. I think the All Blacks respect and fear playing against the Springboks because they know we never lie down. Even if they score 2 quick, easy tries, you're still going to have to fight for every single point.
Every World Cup game, semi-final, final, quarter-final, every game is going to be tough. It's 80 minutes, it's on the field. I don't think the South Africans are going to be scared. I mean, you've got to win these guys if you want to be the champ. You know? Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're in the other pool. You've got to be the best in the world. You know, so even if we play them in the final or the semi-final, we've got to beat them.
I think if they do the basics right and they contain the All Blacks and they try and pressurise them into our type of game plan, we need to be a little bit more creative in terms of attack, whether it's from the tight phases or the set-up second phases. We need to create 1 or 2 other waves of attack. We need to retain possession. I think if we can contain the Springboks and not, at least the All Blacks, and not allow them to play a too expansive game, we always end with a shout.
They know if they win this game, they win the World Cup. Yeah. And this is their final. Yeah. And if they can beat the All Blacks on Saturday, they'll definitely know they have a better chance of winning the Rugby World Cup for the 3rd time for South Africa. So I honestly do believe that the players are very focused. They know that they're the underdogs, and when they are the underdogs, we are actually very dangerous, and in the sense where we can go out there and beat the All Blacks in playing with our hearts.
So inspirational words from our team of 1995 to our generation of 2015 that later on today do battle and hope to go down in the annals of history as they try to make the Rugby World Cup 2015 a final. You'll be able to watch the action live on SABC. To kick-off is at 5 o'clock South African time. But do join us because we'll have expert analysis from the team in Johannesburg, as well as some fun from London and the Absa Red Bus. Until later, goodbye.
.30 time for news headlines. A very good morning to you once again. President Jacob Zuma says there will be a 0% increase in university fees next year. President Zuma was speaking after meeting with student and university leaders at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. He made the announcement after violent protests outside the Union Buildings, where he had been expected to address the students. President Zuma says a range of other changes were agreed to. He added that provision will be made for examinations to be written at a later stage to compensate for the time lost during the protest action. New amendments to the visa regulations have been announced. The new visa regulations are intended to attract tourists to South Africa. The country has been reeling from a major decline in tourism, one of the key sectors in job creation. And news of the day, of course, is the Springboks who